Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Premier League breakdown show on Football Talk Podcast. My name is Ozzie, and I'm your host for this evening. During the show, we'll speak about the fantastic win that Liverpool produced against title rivals in Arsenal. Plus, we'll also assess what our rivals did over the weekend and see where they are placed in the league. So let's start with the opening game, and that is, of course, Liverpool versus Arsenal, where Liverpool, of course, won 1-0 in the end. In terms of my match review for this game, first half, unfortunately for Arsenal, Saliba picked up an injury in the opening few minutes and therefore had to vacate the pitch. And then they brought on Mosquera, who played his debut and, to be fair, did a decent job in his first appearance for the Gunners. In terms of the overall play, Liverpool didn't really produce that many chances. Gakpo had a chance where uh, he had a shot and he dragged it wide. Madueke, who was pretty much their main attacking outlet, causing havoc on that right hand side, but at the same time, I think Kirk has handled himself very well. He had a half volley opportunity, which was saved by Allison, and there was a moment for Liverpool just before halftime where Van Dijk seemed to be in a very advanced role, found the ball on the edge of the box, tried to lay it off to one of our attackers. Uh, McAllister had a shot, but unfortunately was blocked by Declan Rice in the end. So no real sort of impetus in terms of how the teams were playing, no real fluidity. It was a difficult watch in the first half. And in the second half, it did improve. Liverpool actually hit the back of the net, but unfortunately, it was ruled out for offside. In this moment, Verts had a shot that was blocked or parried away, I should say, by Raya. And Gakpo tried to follow up from the rebound. He was fouled. So on paper, it should have been a penalty. But because he was in an offside position before that foul had occurred, it was ruled out. And Gakpo did, try to make things happen. He had another shot moments later. Um, Salah had an opportunity as well, but for me, his overall game was a bit off. The first touch was awful. He had several chances where he controlled the ball, tried to execute a shot towards the top bins, but he didn't even get close to the goal. They were all blocked by Arsenal defenders, but eventually Liverpool got the match winner, and it came through a Szoboszlai rocket, and what a strike it was from about 35, 40 yards out. Hit it very sweetly, knuckleball sort of technique right into the top bins. Raya complained that the goalkeepers have to get used to the new footballs, like he's never played football, game of football in his whole life or something. But what a finish it was. And these are the games where it was very tightly contested between the two sides. Some will argue to say Arsenal didn't really play to win. They played to walk away with something, maybe a point was in their minds. Whereas Liverpool, they tried to, play on the counter. That was the game plan because Arsenal were very physical. They were very dominant in certain aspects of the game. So that's why Liverpool deployed that kind of tactic more than anything else. And that was the leading goal at the time. Gyökeres had a chance from close range, but the substitute in Joe Gomez made a fantastic block to deny the striker. Eze, who made his debut for Arsenal, he had a bit of an opportunity where he went past Gomez and Szoboszlai, found himself near the goal, and a little nudge from Gomez brought him to ground. Now, was that a penalty? I don't think it was. I think it was quite soft if that had been given. And that was pretty much it. That's sort of my roundup of the Liverpool versus Arsenal game. In terms of the big talking points from a Liverpool point of view, I thought this fella, Milos Kerkez, was in fantastic form in this game. He's had a difficult start, especially in the opening game where he faced his former side in Bournemouth, and he was just a bit of a hothead. He was going through lots of tackles, not really playing with a more calm or composed manner. So because of that, he was, I think, substituted around the hour mark due to his erratic performance. And then against Newcastle, didn't bode very well with me. I think he was quite poor from a positional sense. Pretty much gave Bruno Gomes a piggyback ride as he, scored the first goal for Newcastle in that game. So he had, a lot to improve on. Some fans, very early in his Liverpool career have already doubted his ability or his transfer so soon in this part of the season. But I think this performance against Arsenal will showcase what a talent he is. One on one against Madueke, who I won't say is one of the best wingers in the league by any stretch of the imagination, but he's definitely a tricky customer, and he kept him at bay very well. I think there was only one moment where a cross came from that right hand side, but generally Kirkez put his body on the line and made a number of crucial blocks from Madueke's service. So for me, fantastic performance from Kirkez, and hopefully he continues. And this is the stepping stone for better performances going forward. And we'll have to speak about his countryman as well in Szoboszlai. What a finish it was. Some fans slightly surprised in terms of him scoring that goal, not knowing that's something in his locker. I've said it for 2, 3 years now. He's a player that possesses great shooting ability. I want to see more of that because I know he has that in his locker and he has the capability of scoring those type of goals on a more frequent basis. That free kick, when it happened, for me, it was always going to be a Szoboszlai range. No one in our team, hits the ball the way he does from that kind of distance. So I was very pleased that he took it. And yeah, what a strike it was. And that goal is good enough to win any match in this day and age. So yeah, what a strike it was from the Hungarian. Of course, we have to state the facts. He played right back against Martinelli, who was pretty much very, very quiet throughout the game. And then even when Eze came on, Eze had one or two touches, where he troubled Szoboszlai, but nothing that was impactful to the game. So another solid performance at right back. Shifted at centre midfield in the latter stages as well. Would I say that's his new role in the team? Not for me. I still feel like he's a midfielder, but it's great to know that if we need a makeshift right back, or maybe during a game we need, you know, shift the focus a little bit and put someone on that right hand side and set up differently tactically, then we know Szoboszlai can do a shift for us. So it bodes well that he's a player that is highly regarded and valuable to our team in the long term. So yeah, great performance from Szoboszlai against Arsenal. Now, there were a couple concerns in regards to Konate and Florian Wirtz picking up injuries. We have got some sort of update from Arnold Slot in regards to Konate. It was only cramp, so that was the reason why he was taken off. So that's good news from a Liverpool point of view. That is not a long-term injury or anything of that nature. And with the Mark Gay deal collapsing today, it puts us in a good position that at least we have another fit centre back in our squad. In regards to Florian Wirtz, I think it was just a knock more than anything else. Arsenal referred it as to a welcome to the Premier League kind of moment there. So uh, he'll get used to the hustle and bustle of the league in due course. So no concerns. Both players should be fit for the next fixture, which will take place after the international break. And we have to give, a couple shouts to Curtis Jones, who came off the bench and for me changed the way Liverpool played. He was very dynamic. He was a player that was a driving force, made countless runs, and he was a player that got fouled in that position that led to that free kick from Szoboszlai. So another positive performance from Jones, who has been getting unfair criticism by certain sections of the fan base, in my opinion. But I think he produced a great performance against Arsenal. And Joe Gomez as well, who was linked with a move away from the club today. He produced a very dominant performance, made a lot of clearances because during that part of the game, Arsenal were whipping in crosses left, right, and centre, and he was the one that was heading most of the balls away. So a dominant performance. Of course, we do know he has an injury record, but whenever called upon, we can never doubt his quality. Always gives his all and always does his best for the team. So good to have him back in the squad once again. And just to touch on that moment with regards to, Joe Gomez fouling Eze, was that a penalty from a neutral point of view? I don't think it was. There was a slight contact from Joe Gomez on Eze, but it's more, from the side rather than from behind. If it was a push from behind, then it might have been looked at a bit further. I thought it would have been soft if that was given. I think Joe Gomez, nudged him a little bit. Eze went off balance and, fell to ground. I'm not saying he dived or simulated or anything to that nature. I don't think it was a warranted penalty, in my opinion. So yeah, so that's my assessment of the Liverpool versus Arsenal game. Before we move on, we will go through the comments. Uh, Alan comment said, "Yo, Ozzie, this transfer window is like winning a game 5-0." Yeah, it is. It really is. but we conceded a goal in some sense, so no clean sheet. That's what it feels like today, right? We got Isak, which is the move that a lot of us didn't expect, to see or to happen, and the one that we did feel like was going to materialize never happened. So yeah, it's bittersweet today, in terms of not getting Mark Gay through the door. So yeah, I do have a transfer show scheduled after the show, so we'll speak about that in a lot more detail because I've got a few things to get off my chest, which I will do in due course as well. That's a big up, Ozzy. Do you know how long Ibu will be out for? It was cramp, so he's not out with an injury, so he should be fine for the next game. But we still lost the game. We did. We certainly did. Uh, there is Steve, big up yourself. He says, I'm fuming at Glasgow for blocking the gay deal. I am as well. Yeah, I'm annoyed in terms of the last minute, refusal because they couldn't get a player through the door. So yeah, a bit disappointed because they did sign a centre back, but of course they wanted two. So for us to allow Palace to try and make two signings as a replacement for one player, it is ridiculous as well. So I'm doing a local transfer show in about an hour's time, so we'll speak about transfers in a lot more detail because yeah, it's been a crazy day in terms of how things unfolded. So yeah, we'll speak about it in due course. Now moving on to the next segment, which is rival talk. So we'll see what happened in terms of our rivals, what happened in terms of their matches. Did they win? Did they lose? So we'll speak about the first game, and that's Brighton versus Man City. Brighton absolutely stunned Man City with a 2-1 victory. Haaland opens the scoreline with a Predators finish. Then Mateus Nunes blocks the ball with his hand to gift Brighton a penalty. James Milner steps up and scores the equaliser. Brighton's new number 20 pays tribute to his friend Dior Jota with the PlayStation game controller celebration. So a lovely touch there from Millie. And in the final minutes of the game, Brian Gruder scores the winning goal as he goes past Trafford and puts Ait Nuri on his backside to hit the back of the net. City have dropped to 13th in the league, whereas Brighton have now moved up and are currently in 11th place. Now, this game was in the headlines for all the wrong reasons, and surprise, surprise, it's VAR who plays the main character once again. Fulham scored a perfectly legal goal through Josh King, but VAR stated that Muniz fouled Chalobah in the build-up and therefore ruled out the goal. For me, an absolutely poor decision from the officials. That cannot be deemed as a foul. He clearly was on the half turn, and his trailing foot, stepped on Chalobah. It wasn't purposely done. So for me, one of the worst decisions of the week. But then Chelsea took the lead just before halftime with a bullet header from João Pedro. Then in the second half, it gets back to worse as Fulham concede a penalty through a Sessegnon block, which even for me seemed a bit harsh at the time as well. Enzo Fernandez steps up and converts the penalty into the back of the net to clinch the win. Now Chelsea have moved up to second in the league. Tottenham suffered their first Premier League defeat at home as the Cherries claimed the important win, and it didn't take very long. In fact, it took 5 minutes as Evanilson scored a fantastic goal with a left-footed finish. No chance for the keeper to save that shot. Tottenham unfortunately dropped to fourth in the table now. And after the humiliating defeat in the hands of Grimsby during the Carabao Cup second round fixture, United needed to claim a win to erase that embarrassing result. And to be fair, they just about did it after beating Burnley 3-2. United opened the scoreline with an unlucky goal from Cullen. Lau Foster gets the equaliser with a sliding finish, and Bremer makes it 2-1 with a close range finish. Burnley equalizes with a scruffy set piece goal from Jalen Anthony, and Bruno Fernandes scores a late equalizer from the penalty spot to clinch the win. United move up to ninth after registering their first win of the season. So that is my Premier League breakdown of match week 3. So what we'll do now is we'll present the FPL manager of the week now. Excuse me, I'm not sure if everyone was focused enough to update their teams. I'm not having the best of times. But in terms of our current league, the manager of the week goes to Pyro Mustafa, and their team is called Gen FC. They managed to claim 76 points. So, congrats to Hyrule for your points tally there. They have now moved up to 25th in the league in regards to my performance. I had to get rid of Cole Palmer due to his injury, but it didn't really help in terms of my total score. I managed to claim 44 points, and now I've dropped to 51st position in the league. So I essentially need to get back to the drawing board. So what we'll do now is we'll present the top 10, see if there's any movers and shakers. So at the top, we've got Muma, who's been at the top for back-to-back weeks now. They only got 53 points, but they've done so well in previous weeks that they've managed to keep that gap away from any other rivals. You got Kagla, who was the manager of the week last week, has moved up to second place. Ellie Clark remains in third. Bawale Adeleji has moved up to fourth. Michael has moved up to fifth. Shioke has moved up to sixth. Bamakun has moved up to seventh. Vamish Chineri in joint place in eighth position. Chris Barnett with Savannah Stories in ninth place. And Alex Harrison has moved up to 10th place. So big up to everyone for your performance in game week 3. Of course, we've got an international break now, so might need to hold off to make any further transfers right now. But yeah, we will bide our time and then see how it goes. Because I definitely need to go back to the drawing board. I've got to be a bit more strategic with my next transfer and try and build a team that will hopefully get me more points in the coming weeks. And let's just see. We've got a comment here from Dooley Steve. Who said, "I will be hate watching Glasner as often as possible." You might have to add Ego to that list as well because he's the one that rejected the move as well. So I hear you. I'm annoyed as well. Um, yeah, it's one of those ones where I just don't feel like they should have pulled the plug. Now, I'll be brutally honest with you. We're gonna have to bid in January, and it's not going to be anywhere near what we're willing to pay. Willing to pay 35 plus 10% as a sell-on clause. Now it's going to be probably 10, 15 million. And I'm not even being cheeky with that kind of number. That's literally what they're going to get. So, we can either wait to sign him in January, which I hope we do, 'cause I think he will be needed during that time, or we get him on a free transfer. So for me, Bliss have missed out here. But I feel like, your frustration with Glasner is definitely justified because he may have threatened the owners to say, "Look, if you sell Gehi, I'm out of the door." That is the rumor that we got earlier on today, and because of that, they were like, "Okay, fine, we'll keep him on board." But the player looked like he was, he knew he was parting ways, but fair play to me. He didn't milk it and he didn't go to the crowd, and because there's nothing guaranteed at the time that he was going to make the move. So right now he can go back to playing for Palace for the foreseeable future. And I really hope Liverpool come back to place a bid with him for him. Sorry, I should say in January because I do still feel like he's very much needed in our squad. So hopefully, that is the case. Uh, to lose to even Palace fans are fuming. I'm not surprised because the money would have done them really good. They could have addressed a couple of positions. They could have reinforced properly in January. Now, they'll be receiving peanuts, if that, or absolutely nothing because then we'd go for Mark Gay and sign him on a free transfer next summer. So they definitely missed out on this one. Exactly, because they'll lose on a free. Yep. This winner has the most money they'll ever get for him. It was the prime opportunity. And like you just said, uh Gay's not signing a new contract. So that was always on the picture. Whether he's happy with his treatment at the club or not, he's got ambitions to play for a team challenging for titles for the Champions League. So he had his eyes on a move to Liverpool, but unfortunately, it hasn't happened for now. But it's more of a, we'll see you soon. I will probably see him in January. That's the way I'm looking at it. So yeah, bit of a shame in terms of how it panned out. But we'll talk about it in due course, as I do have a transfer show lined up, uh, probably about an hour's time. So best thing to do is hit that notification bell on YouTube so you know what time I'll be going live. But that is it today in terms of our Premier League breakdown show. Shout out to Oz and Kabak and Daz and Deluz D for your comments. Appreciate your engagement as always. If you haven't already, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. As we're heading into the international break, we'll be back with this Premier League breakdown show in about a couple of weeks' time. So until then, take care, stay safe, and I hope to speak to you all in about an hour's time to discuss Liverpool chances. So yeah, hopefully I'll see you guys soon. Goodbye.